I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Donald Trump's former press secretary and communications director, Stephanie Grisham, just gave an interview with MSNBC, and she stated that not only is she confident that Donald Trump was showing classified information to people who he shouldn't be showing it to, and that he was bragging about documents that he shouldn't have had, that he stole classified records. No, Stephanie Grisham goes a step further. She said that she was with Donald Trump when he showed classified documents to people who shouldn't have seen it. She said that she observed it go down, him mocking it and making fun of it and making light of showing our most sensitive national documents that belong to the government to people who shouldn't see it. Jack Smith, are you watching this? Here, let's play this interview with Stephanie Grisham on MSNBC. Play the clip.
Look, you know Donald Trump. Is it plausible Trump was showing classified documents to people in private meetings?
The short answer is yes. I watched him show documents to people at Mar-a-Lago on the dining room patio. So he has no respect for classified information, never did. Listening to that exchange every time, it just makes me so angry. He talks specifically that he should have declassified it, but he didn't. So there, I think, is proof. I believe also there's a portion of that audio where he says, this is off the record. And I know Donald Trump, and knows the rules of reporters, and he knows if it needs to be off the record that they can't talk about it. So I think he was covering himself in that regard. And, I was thinking about this earlier. I just want to say to your viewers, I don't think people understand how hard it is to get your classified permissions. I remember when I was going through it to get all of mine, I got held up because of a $13 KinderCare bill that I did not know about. And so I couldn't get clearance. They go through everything about you. It's very difficult to get a security clearance. And I think people, they miss that's in the weeds, obviously, but to be showing it to people who haven't gone through the extreme vetting that you go through to get a clearance, it's a disservice to the country, but it also puts people in danger potentially.
How high was your security clearance? And I've got to think, given that you get held up for a $13 whatever it was, I mean, that's got to be almost offensive that Donald Trump goes around and shows it very liberally to people.
It is. And it's, of course it's offensive to me, sure. But again, there are sources and methods out there that could be put in danger. I think that, I can't stress enough how by being so loose with this stuff, he's potentially putting people in danger. And yeah, I had a top security clearance, and it's very, very hard to attain. So it's very important, and it's vital to our country and our national security that only people with these clearances have access to any of these documents.
Okay. Well, Donald Trump, having been called out on this behavior, is defending the audio recording we just played. He's calling it bravado. Take a listen to what he said.
I had a whole desk full of lots of papers and mostly newspaper articles, copies of magazines, copies of different plans, copies of stories having to do with many, many subjects. And what was said was absolutely fine and very, very perfectly. We did nothing wrong. This is a whole hoax.
So how do you interpret his defense compared to the audio we heard?
Well, I mean, I think this is like his 7th or 8th defense, right? First, there was nothing, and then it was all declassified anyway. And then, so this is just the newest defense, and it doesn't comport with what the audio says. He says the military put this together for me. See this, you hear the papers. So that's not bravado. You can't tell me that he's holding up a newspaper while he's saying the military put this together for me.
Okay, let me ask you for a quick answer on this. Former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani's been interviewed by federal investigators as part of the special counsel's investigation into the efforts to overturn the 2020 election. They've also interviewed Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger this week. What does this mean for Trump? Do you think he should be bracing for another indictment?
Yes, that's my quick answer. Yes, I do think he should be bracing for that.
I mean, she worked for Donald Trump, right? I mean, how many people who have actually worked with Donald Trump, who are Republicans, who were Trumpers, who saw it firsthand saying, we saw it, he's crazy, he commits crimes frequently, dangerous crimes. hey, we're Republicans, we're trying to protect the nation. But you know what? The modern day Republican Party, it's a cult. It is not a political party. There is no rationality. Remember, Donald Trump said, well, if I was in Fifth Avenue, I could shoot somebody and my base, my supporters would still want to vote for me. Well, in many ways, what he did is worse because undoubtedly his conduct has led to many deaths. I mean, if you just want to look at how he handled COVID, it led to millions of deaths. But you want to look at the classified records, I mean, putting that information in the hands of our foreign adversaries would lead to deaths of our foreign assets, CIA agents, Americans all over the globe if they have access to it, which they probably do because of Donald Trump. But yet the MAGA Republican cult continues to follow this ridiculousness. It is not a political thing. It's just right or wrong. You know, and here he is. Here's right after this. Here's Donald Trump in South Carolina basically saying, oh, I'm not stupid. You think I'm stupid? I was, the Georgia call was perfect. I knew exactly what I'm doing. I mean, like, this is beyond parody. If we saw this conduct on Idiocracy, you'd be like, I don't buy it. Here, play this clip.
Copy of it. It was a perfect call. These were perfect calls. These were calls where you're questioning the validity and the safety of elections. And it's a disgrace that they're allowed to even think about it. But not one person protested until long after that call. And if there was something wrong with that call, I am not a stupid person. Number one, I'm an honest person, so I wouldn't do it anyway. But when people are on the phone, including many lawyers, do you think many people were on that phone? Many people. Do you think I'm going to say what they'd like to have? But the problem is, it's not borne out. I will tell you what is borne out. The call was supposedly taped in the state of Florida. And in Florida, you're not allowed to do, you know, that's a two-party state. In other words, you're not allowed to tape phone calls. They taped the phone call. To show you how nice they are, they taped the phone call, and you're not allowed. So that is the real crime here. They had a two-party state with somebody taping the call, supposedly from Florida.
And then here he is saying, Jack Smith's a thug. This is what he was saying in the speech in South Carolina. Play the clip.
They go after me for the Presidential Records Act. Well, that's what they should be looking at, because everything I did was under the Presidential Records Act. We have a thug prosecutor named Smith, Jack Smith. He's a thug. He's had many losses. He's destroyed many lives, and they put him in charge. In the meantime, what about Biden's records? This guy has 1,850 boxes. He has boxes stored in Chinatown in D.C., rough place, by the way.
You know, when I get the media wants to normalize this behavior, the media wants to act like, oh, this is a normal campaign. Not here on the MeidasTouch Network. Don't be gaslit by any of this. What we're observing, what we're seeing is absolutely not normal. It's fascism meets idiocracy, and it's incumbent upon all of us to call this conduct out and to not allow any of this to ever be normalized. You know, one of the things with fascism, it relies on all of us just being worn out and getting tired and just saying, fine, enough. Because fascism, it's relentless. It is not a huge number in the population. It's a small minority of populations when fascism takes over. But the majority is just like, fine, I've had enough of it. I can't, just whatever you want to do. Never get complacent. Make sure you're doing everything possible to get the word out. And again, while we do these videos of Trump, we also do videos as well of the great things that Democrats are doing. We highlight Democratic lawmakers. And by the way, do I agree with Democrats on everything? Absolutely not. But focusing on jobs and our economy and healthcare and education, that's all I can ask for. So I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com, and wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Have an excellent day and hit subscribe right now.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.